The purpose of Safety Links is to provide the public with general safety-related information covering the home, businesses, and community with emphasis upon senior citizen-related issues, drawing upon existing programs currently being offered by federal, state, and local agencies. A broad-based, multifaceted array of subjects will be covered. In addition, contact information will be offered to those seeking direct help or support. And now, on with today's topic.
Hello, I'm Tom Hayes, Director of Customer and Community Relations for New Jersey Natural Gas Company, and today I'm your host for SCAN's Safety Links program. The programs we're doing these days are focused on Sandy recovery efforts, and we appreciate your spending time with us. Today our guest is Leslie Terjesen, who's a Public Information Officer of the Ocean County Health Department. So welcome. I appreciate your being here at SCAN with us, and I know you do wonderful work. And again, it's I know you have a busy schedule, but we appreciate you taking the time to be with us on today's program.
Thank you.
I'd like to say, like one of the first questions I really wanted to ask you is, what is your role at the Ocean County Health Department?
I'm the Public Information Officer. I sort of think of myself as the major resource person. I do all the public information, all the press releases. I also coordinate all health education, dental education, the municipal alliances through the health department.
That's great. Sounds like a full schedule for yourself, right?
Yeah, it is.
And I know you do. I know I see you out there in the community all the time, and I know you do a wonderful job with that. And so I'm sure Ocean County is very proud to have you working with them. Now, during the Superstorm Sandy and all these efforts, what has your role been in that capacity?
Well, we had many roles, from before the storm, during the storm, after the storm. Before the storm, one of our biggest assets at the health department is we have a medical needs trailer that we can set up somewhere, which we did. We set up a medical needs shelter at High School North. Right. Also before the storm, because I also do our website at the health department, we got as much information on, especially the preparedness message, stay informed, build a kit, make a plan, everything that people need to know. We wanted to get people information on if their electricity goes off, the amount of hours for food, how long your food can stay in the freezer, carbon monoxide poisoning with generators, as much as information, well water, any information that we could get on the website we could do. So before the storm, we also went to all the other shelters in Ocean County to make sure everything was okay. Plus, we've always worked very closely with Office of Emergency Management. During the storm, which we had no electricity at the health department for almost 2 weeks, or phone service, we were there, but we also manned the Office of Emergency Management. We were at the medical needs shelter, and a couple things that we did at the shelter or during the process was we were meeting with the United States of Humane Society. Okay. And we ended up sheltering 200 dogs. Wow. In our medical needs shelter, we actually had 1,000 patient contact visits during that time also. Now, when people were at a shelter, we needed to send over our environmental inspectors each day to make sure the food preparation was done correctly. And also at one point, we thought we had a GI situation, someone didn't feel well. We made sure our communicable disease people and our epidemiologists were on staff. We actually brought hand sanitizer for every person in the shelter. We even went out and bought non-alcoholic hand sanitizer for safety for children, et cetera. Immediately after the storm, our environmental division got called, worked very closely with the Department of Environmental Protection. They received a lot of calls of sunken boats, of debris in the water, of oil spills, et cetera, so they needed to be addressed right away. We also, as soon as we got phone service, we called every municipality in Ocean County and we said, we will be more than happy to come out and give all your first responders flu shots and Tdap. We use tetanus in the form of tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis, which is another name for whooping cough, because we had a whooping cough outbreak several years ago. So, we're giving the tetanus in the form of Tdap. So we also offered, we will come to any of your town council meetings, anything you need from us, we will certainly, be happy to do it. Our environmental division got in touch with every single restaurant. Of course, the majority were closed, especially along the beach. Sure. We mailed them packages of information, what they needed to do. And in the process, our environmental division has assured our restaurants, if they're opening, that we will be there within 24 hours if they're planning to open, to make sure everything is, up to date.
Okay, good.
post Sandy, we are, every weekend, we have spent Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at different municipalities affected by Sandy. And what we're doing is we're offering free tetanus boosters, again in the form of Tdap, to any residents. And we're also giving them an awful lot of mold information, any kind of information, West Nile, safe swimming, and we're also offering mold classes through Rutgers University. We've done at least a dozen for residents and also for building inspectors, environmental inspectors, et cetera.
Wow, that's great. You're
Yeah.
just doing an awful lot.
So-
Sounds like you have staff of thousands, but it's
No, we
probably...
don't. We don't, but we've really, we've been very proactive. We are
Right.
part of the Long-Term Recovery Committee.
Absolutely.
And,
In fact, I was going to ask you about that with the, and I serve on that as well as you know, and
Yes.
so I see you there at all those meetings. You're always right there with all that great information, which I really mean that seriously. You always do have great information, and your input is always very valuable.
Thank
know?
you.
So with the Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group, what types of efforts do you make there?
well, number one, it's an effort sometimes to try to get there.
Yeah, a lot of meetings.
But what we're doing is, we update them what we're doing, and we certainly encourage people to call us. If it's health related, if it's mold related, call us. We had some questions from the one of the counseling, Hope and Healing. They had some concerns about mold, so we actually did a training for all of their counselors. I had one of the managers of Hope and Healing came to my office yesterday. I gave her 500 books from the state that we have, mold guidelines for New Jersey residents.
Okay.
So, and actually I have this book right here.
Okay.
The New Jersey Department of Health has put this together, and it has wonderful information on mold assessments, on mold remediation, what you should do, checklist if you're going to hire a mold remediator. So it's good information for people because this is a new problem for a lot of people.
Sure.
So it's a devastating problem for people, and we want them to do it right, and we
Right.
want them to have the right resources. That's very important for us.
Right.
Yeah.
I know when it comes to mold, a lot of people just think they put bleach on it or something, and it's taken care
which
of, and
is
it's
not what you
the
do.
case. Right.
So,
it's
yeah.
good just to let people know that alone,
Absolutely,
right? That
absolutely.
There's a lot, and that it can be treated, but it has to be treated properly.
Yes, absolutely, correctly. But when we have, at our outreach on weekends, we're also giving them information, as I mentioned, on West Nile, on safe swimming. We're giving them N95 masks so they're not breathing in stuff, and we're giving them gloves. So we want, it's very important for us that people are safe in this
Right.
cleanup process.
Right. And since you're giving this information, can you provide your contact information at this point as well? Probably ask at the end also, but just
Sure.
since people
Sure.
might be very interested in this.
If people need to get information, they can call me at 732-341-9700, extension 7224, or they can contact they can go to the Health Department website at www.ochd, as in Ocean County Health Department.org.
Okay. And is that information on the website also?
Yes,
Is it- or is it
absolutely. They
just
can
a-
click right on it and get the book.
So they can print it, download it,
Absolutely.
whatever they like.
Look at it when they want to at their convenience.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Great. Thank you for that information. That is great. Now, in terms of all the other agencies you mentioned or parts of your department that are involved, how many do you have others that are involved with the long-term recovery group meetings, or is it basically yourself because you do such a great job?
No, I've been the one representing the health department,
That's
but other
great.
county agencies are involved, Board of Social Services, Department of Human Services. So we've been involved. We work very closely. Our county, Ocean County offices work very closely together, and that's
Gotcha.
including places like the library. They've offered a lot of resources. Not only have they offered resources, they've offered, during the storm, they offered places that people could plug in their phones, their
Right.
chargers, computers.
How critical is that, right?
Absolutely. So, we have a wonderful working relationship with our other county offices.
Okay. Now, in reference to Sandy and the outcomes and all that, how did Sandy affect people and businesses that work on or receive certification from the health department?
Well, most of the people that receive certification from the health department would be food vendors,
Okay.
restaurants.
Right.
And again, as I mentioned, we are working with them. We're giving them information. Whatever they need, whatever resources they need, we're giving that. And not only right after the storm, we found that a lot of out of generosity, out of the goodness of people's hearts, people were coming to New Jersey to open up food carts
Yes,
to feed
right.
people. They have to be inspected.
Right,
You know,
right,
so
right.
we had a busy job doing that also.
Oh, I'm sure, and I know it's a
But-
tough spot because they're trying to do a good thing,
Absolutely.
and you come in and they feel like, what are you doing this to us for? We're just
Absolutely,
trying to help, but
yeah.
you can, in trying to help, sometimes you can cause more problems. People are
Absolutely.
getting sick, or there's food poisoning, or whatever,
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
it's your job, and it is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But again, with so much of this disaster, we find that
Absolutely.
doing things right often take time, or can
Right.
be frustrating to people, but
Right.
it really has to be done right for everybody's sake.
Right. So, well, again, we're working with the restaurants, and as for waters, we're part of the Coastal Cooperative Monitoring Program, where we check any bathing beach in Ocean County for bacteria. We've done that. We do it. It's not because of the storm, but we did start
Always been
in
doing it.
January,
Right,
where
okay.
we usually start probably in March or April, and the bacteria levels have been great. But in part of the packets that we're giving out to people at our outreach, we have phone numbers. If somebody sees something that's shouldn't be there.
Right.
It's at the DEP, they have a hotline that people can call, and we've worked with our lifeguards, but lifeguards have always done a good job. It's a lifeguard's job.
To see everything, to be paying
Before
attention.
Sandy, after Sandy, that when they get on the beach in the morning to look around the beach, and they're
Right.
trained to do that.
Right.
So we'll continue doing the water quality throughout the summer. And we're, one of our concerns at the health department post Sandy is mosquitoes. There's a lot of dumpsters sitting in people's property that they haven't had emptied yet.
Right.
We're asking people, please look around your property for any kind of standing water and get rid of it. The mosquitoes, we've all heard about the major amount of mosquitoes that are out there.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy.
we're looking at West Nile virus. So we're trying to stay on top of any issue that Sandy could relate to the health department, and we have great leadership at the health department.
Which is great. It's
So-
good. I know they do great work, and certainly you're an excellent representative
Thank you.
for the organization and all the good things that you do. What type of planning is the Ocean County Health Department doing as we move into hurricane season for this year?
Well, right now we're putting together all of our hurricane resources. We're telling people, once again, make a plan, build a kit, stay informed, get that battery or that crank radio, make sure you have, batteries for your flashlights. It's no more be prepared for a couple days. You want to be prepared for a couple of weeks. We want people who might have to, with a change in topography in Ocean County and Monmouth County, we know that there's been a lot of flooding from a northeast storm, not even a hurricane.
Right.
We're asking people, if you think you're going to have to evacuate, this is the time to figure out where you might go, what relative, what friend you might stay with rather than a
Right.
shelter. We're working very, very closely with our partners, our hospitals, our federally qualified health centers, the state, regarding any type of sheltering issues. And we have an awful lot of after-action reports as to, really covering anything that happened during Sandy. But we're working with our partners, and we're trying to get information out. We're getting press releases out. Now, September is National Preparedness Month. We're certainly going to focus on national preparedness in August this year, but as we do all the time.
Right,
But we
sure.
want people to have, again, a lot of people went out and bought generators after the
Right.
storm. You have to be
And
careful with
you have to be
generators. They need
careful.
to be set up, if they're not a part of the house, they need to be X amount of feet away from the house.
Right.
You need to be concerned about carbon monoxide poisoning.
Right.
We're really, it's the time to let's look and see what we can do better.
Right.
And, everybody can do better, and everybody learned from Sandy, and we hope to take those lessons learned and, apply them if it should happen again.
Right, I appreciate that. Well, again, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for
I
having
really
me.
appreciate all your efforts,
Thanks.
and again, you do wonderful work.
Thanks.
And again, we appreciate your being here. Now we're going to be taking a break for a very important message.
Okay.
And again, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Hello again, my name is Tom Hayes, and we're back with Scan Safety Links. And at this point, we have Kathy Durante, who is the Executive Director of the OceanFirst Foundation, who will be talking to us about OceanFirst and their role in the recovery efforts and the Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group efforts. So welcome, Kathy. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
I know how busy you are and your schedule's jam-packed and all that, but I do appreciate your coming on the show with us and giving us some information about not only OceanFirst and Foundation, but also your efforts with the Long-Term Recovery Group.
Always time for you.
Very nice of you. So can you tell me a little bit first about OceanFirst Foundation? Because I know you have a very unique beginning of how that whole started. So.
Sure. The foundation was started back in 1996 when OceanFirst Bank went public. And it was the desire of the board of directors of the foundation and of OceanFirst Bank to endow a community foundation that would be able to support worthwhile charitable causes in the years to come, and the decision was to endow it with $13.4 million with stock. And since that time, we've been able to award more than $24 million in grants to organizations, large and small, throughout our market, which is Ocean and Monmouth County primarily.
Mm-hmm. That's just great. And you know, being involved in the community as you are, it's phenomenal to see how much OceanFirst does. You really do a great job, and you running that foundation, it couldn't be more perfect, because I know I've known you for years and for United Way efforts and all that sort of thing. So it's just great to see how wonderful the foundation's been doing and how well it's been led by yourself, because you really do a great job. Now, what are some Foundation's key areas of interest, and what kinds of needs do you routinely help with folks?
We have 4 key priorities: housing, youth development and education, improving health and wellness, and also improving the quality of life for those that are within our community. And within that broad context, we have some other areas of interest: the arts and cultural community, supporting the arts and cultural community. Within the education context, we have a very large scholarship program. And then we also have a specific initiative that's aimed at providing support to veterans and members of the military in times of need.
Great. It's a lot.
There's a lot. There's a lot that we do in a normal routine year. And this year has given us a little bit of a different challenge to deal with, but we try to always maintain the support of those key community organizations that are kind of the core of our community and providing help to people in need.
Right, and it's great because it is hard. All of a sudden you have something like Sandy come along and there's all that additional need, but you, like you said, you still have to try to take care of the folks that are kind of really depending on you for aid, because that's what nonprofits are. You know, they're doing the work out in the street, and they need that support from corporations and institutions and foundations. So I know that you're always very respectful to everyone, so that's nice that you continue to do that and consider everybody.
Thank you. It's a balancing act,
Yes.
but this year we're getting through it.
Yep, absolutely. Now, I know you're involved with Sandy relief and recovery efforts. Can you tell me a little bit about how you first became involved with that?
Oh, geez. Well, right after the storm, I was having a conversation with some key people at the Ocean County Department of Human Services. And they were kicking around the idea of trying to bring members of the Human Service Advisory Council together. These are all nonprofits that are very involved with the delivery of services within the community. And they wanted to bring them together. And as we talked, I knew from my foundation background and from the work that OceanFirst does that there's a whole host of organizations that really, that's not their focus. However, they would be key to the long-term recovery and relief efforts that were happening in the county. So I had suggested to them that we might talk a bit more and work together to try to expand that initial gathering of people. And from that, we decided that we would host an event, or it ended up being a breakfast, where all the different organizations that were kind of emerging and coming in and wanting to help and wanting to volunteer could kind of come together to start talking about how do we move forward. So that's how I initially got involved. Mm-hmm. And then from there, that evolved into what is now the Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group. And there's a similar group in Monmouth County and most of the other communities that have been impacted. But for us, it became the Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group.
Right. And I know you're very involved, as you know, I serve on that group, in that group, and get to as many meetings as I can, but I know you've been very instrumental there and not only helping to get it rolling, but also in the continuing efforts to get grants and other services into the community for the folks that need that help.
Yeah, one of the key things that I think we can help with as a foundation is trying to help people make connections with those that work on the philanthropy side. And I've been helping them do some of the grant writing to bring the resources into the community, and this is for Ocean, working very closely together with Tim Hearn and the good people from United Way of Monmouth County that have been working on the Monmouth County Long-Term Recovery Group. So we've been lending our help in trying to develop the financial resources, but also to help make the connections with all of those other organizations that are out there that want to help. They just need the little bit of extra help identifying, who are those key organizations on the ground doing work that we could partner with.
Right. And the long-term recovery group is a great outlet for that, right? I mean, because you have pulled all the right people together. That is kind of where the rubber meets the road at this point. There's that initial fury of everybody trying to help everyone all at the same time. But then the long-term recovery group is really trying to rein that in and bring everybody together to make a real concerted effort and avoid duplications of efforts and that sort of thing. So it's really a great way to get out and help as many people as possible. And I'm sure these organizations are thrilled to have an organization they can trust to go to and make their donations and bring their grants to and get those dollars basically out to the street to the people who need it.
That is the idea. It's the coordinated delivery, trying to help people so that they're not having to jump through the same hoops multiple times and be asked the same information. And I mean, the idea is in the long run to get people back in their homes, whether they owned it or they rented it or whatever their situation was. The idea is to make sure that everybody has a place to go back to when all is said and done.
Right.
And I think the long-term recovery group, that's something that we as OceanFirst Foundation can get behind because it is a coordinated delivery. Instead of us having to deal with everyone asking us for different specific needs, and maybe they're all, you might end up with 3 people wanting to fulfill the same need. It's much easier for us to say, okay, let's all sit at the same table and decide the best way to do this.
Right, and again, sharing your position in a sense where we're involved with, from our organizations, giving out donations and being involved with where those dollars go. As you said, you want to be comfortable and confident in the organization that you're lending support to. So it's great to be involved, and again, it's not even just being involved for you. You're part of the whole thing from day one, which is great.
Yeah, it's important. It's important to make sure that as all these dollars come in and as they get spent, that there's accountability for them.
Right.
And that's something that we have experience doing that we can share with the long-term recovery group and some of the partners that maybe haven't done that as intensely as we may have. But when all is said and done, we want to make sure people get back in their homes, but we also want to make sure that we did it as best we could, and we stretched every dollar as far as we could so that the most number of people can be helped.
Right, for sure. Now, I know you're very involved with the Council of New Jersey Grant Makers, and I know you're instrumental in bringing them in to really get other organizations from around the state to really know a little bit more about what really took place. And again, being that vehicle to get folks to a trusted organization that they could say, all right, we could support this effort because we have confidence in the knowledge and the wherewithal and the experience of these folks to trust that we can put our dollars into this effort. So can you tell me a little bit of how you got them involved?
Yeah, well, the Council of New Jersey Grant Makers has been around for years, and Nina Stack, who runs the organization, does an amazing job bringing together the philanthropy community within New Jersey. And so we were not at all surprised in the days following Sandy that she did a great job in trying to rally the philanthropy community together to not only to begin to raise the issues and identify the needs and to look at what the resources were that people had, but Nina did a great job just helping people make connections where she got a call from a funder or a grant maker that might have been in another state and looking for who can we help on the ground. She did a great job kind of bridging that divide so that we could make the matches and get people aligned with the resources that were there. They also did an amazing job putting together a bus tour, and that's something that I tried to help them with so that we could identify the key areas and a big part of it is just getting people down here to see, you know,
That's right.
this is the impact. And sometimes you can watch it on the news and you can hear about it on a telephone conference call, but when you actually see it and talk to the people that are kind of in it and living it every day,
Right.
you walk away with a completely different understanding and perspective on what needs to be done and how you
Right.
might be able to help.
I mean, the sheer magnitude of how much area was really damaged, right? So, like you said, you can see it on televisions, people can talk to you about it, but when you really see it and you see blocks and blocks and towns and whole communities really wiped out by this. And I think for a lot of us, it was interesting because you can go through a neighborhood and it doesn't really, you don't really realize how much damage has taken place till you look in the houses and you realize all the homes are empty because they've all been flood damaged and people
Yeah.
can't go back to them.
Yeah,
So,
from the outside, things, if you just did a quick drive-by, they might look very normal to you.
Right.
But once you kind of look inside the window a little bit more, you see that it's down to the studs and that there's nobody living there.
right, right.
And I think
It's-
that bus tour gave an opportunity for us to kind of show, you know, these are the challenges that we're going to have. And Nina and her staff at the council do a great job. They also just recently hosted their annual conference, and it was held in Monmouth County, and that's something new for them to hold it right down here at the shore. And the focus was on Sandy recovery and how the philanthropy community can come together and what the challenges are. And it really gave people another perspective.
Right.
You
Very-
just have to keep it in front of people.
That's right, and she's very impressive, and her organization's great. And I know you introduced me to that organization,
Yes.
and I thank you for that because they really do wonderful, wonderful things. Now, before we go a little further, I just want to make sure people have your contact information if they wanted to reach out to you. So, can you give us some information about contacting?
Sure. Best way to get us is the phone, 732-341-4676. We're on the web at OceanFirstFDN.org. But where you find the latest and most up-to-date is on our Facebook page. You know, we have a lot going on at any one given time. We have all of the things related to Sandy, but, you know, we continue to do the other good things that we were doing before Sandy, like handing out scholarships to students and arts and cultural grant programming. So for organizations that maybe are looking for some help, that's a great place to start to see what we're up to and what we're doing.
Great. Now, you have a CEO executive leadership event coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what that's related to Sandy and all that?
Yeah, once a year we try to bring together all the CEOs and executive directors, board presidents of all the organizations that we support, but also the organizations that are kind of the boots on the ground doing the work. So on August 6th, we'll be hosting our next, and it's going to be held right down the shore in Brielle. We'll have more than 100 leaders, we expect, and we have a great keynote speaker lined up. Edie Lutnick, who's with the Cantor Fitzgerald Relief Fund, and you know, she has a very interesting perspective, having gone through the whole 9/11 aftermath and experience, and she's got you know, very good ideas and some thoughts on, you know, what it means, what it looks like afterwards, how can you kind of coordinate services, how do you need to come together. She's kind of done it in a different context, but
Right.
one that there are some lessons there for us to learn. But
Real experience.
yeah, and the more important part of the dialogue, I think even so, is that the CEOs have an opportunity to kind of share themselves immediately following Sandy. You know, what are the lessons that we need to learn? What do we need to do better next time? Can we better prepare ourselves if this happened to us
Right.
again?
Right.
And it's a forum for them to talk amongst themselves and to work on coordination and just improving the whole system.
Right, that's good. Well, again, I want to appreciate for your time. I know you do wonderful work, and
Thank you.
again, I know you're busy, but we thank you for being here with SCAN.
Thanks so much for having me, Tom.